Hi, I'm Molly Babel, and I'm an associate professor of linguistics at the University of British Columbia, and I direct the Speech and Context Lab, where we study how listeners produce, process, and perceive phonetic variation. When one's deciding whether they want to go to graduate school or not, I really think their primary motivator should be one of kind of curiosity and wanting to contribute to the field, to ask research questions and get answers to them, or attempt to get answers to them, that you wouldn't be able to sleep at night if you weren't engaged in doing that kind of work. So I think a strong statement of interest starts from the research angle. What are your research questions and why? Really motivating kind of your whole statement of why you want to be at UBC from that angle is really important, because that is why you're going to graduate school, to be able to ask and answer particular research questions. So starting from the research perspective, I mean, like you're writing the introduction to a research paper, and then moving on to, well, why you? Why are you the right person to be in a position, to be given the privilege to go to graduate school, to be funded by taxpayer money, to ask and answer those questions? You got to start from, what are these big questions that I want to answer? And then make it clear that, okay, you are the right person to ask those questions. There's no single right supervisor for somebody, but there are probably lots of wrong supervisors for somebody. It's really important that a student and a supervisor have a strong, solid working relationship, because any relationship that is between an advisor and an advisee is going to have its ups and downs. So there has to be kind of a quality foundation to that, to kind of get you through the trying times, and there are trying times in graduate school. Reference letters are really, really, really important. You get a strong sense from letters about the way the student works, so you can get a feel of how, not only how they're going to potentially work with you as a supervisor, but how they're going to fit within the program that your department has laid out. You get a sense from those letters, kind of the academic excellence of the students, the research excellence of a student, and then some of the personal characteristics that are telling about whether a person is going to be able to succeed in the stressful grad school environment. You want to get letters from faculty who really know you. So maybe there is the most famous person in your future discipline, the most famous person in your field taught you one class. But then still a really strong researcher who maybe isn't a name brand researcher taught you in 3 classes. That faculty member who taught you in 3 classes is probably going to be able to write you a much stronger letter of recommendation. I'm a real sucker for just curiosity. So seeing that a student just wants to develop, to help the whole field develop a firmer understanding of how does language work, right? And coming from just a really broad, I want to figure out how this works. I want to understand the underlying mechanisms. I want to give us a broader sense of the empirical foundation of speech and language behavior. I want students who are going to be pushing me in new directions in terms of methods and tools, in terms of the actual research questions, in terms of populations that we study. And so it would be a mistake for a student who wants to come work with me to kind of just do exactly the kinds of things that I'm already doing. I want them to also be pushing me. Seeing that a student just has kind of that raw passion for inquiry really calls out to me. And I think that's in part because, in my experience, a student who's driven by curiosity is one who's going to be able to kind of stomach the emotional ups and downs of research. If you're driven just by curiosity, the oops, that didn't work is just part of kind of, well, answering that question. It didn't work. Let's just move on to the next thing. And a student who's driven by curiosity, I feel like, can make that next jump to the next project better than someone who's just really focused on finding the answer to a single question.